the outreach program of the LAI is dedicated to serve the teachers of Southern California, Los Angeles, and our entire region by bringing to them state-of-the-art knowledge on Latin America, and by providing presentations, in-person workshops, and most recently even travel and courses in Latin America itself. And it's actually with great interest and great pleasure that we welcome all of you, all of our audience, to this second talk of this series. Just as a reminder, we have a presentation once a month. So we already have a scheduled presentation for December. We're going to have Antonio Ramos Revillas, who's an author of children's literature in Mexico, well-known author, very prolific actually, and he is the director of the University Press of Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León in Monterrey, Mexico. But today we actually have an educator, a teacher, who is also a scholar of children's literature. For a full introduction of our speaker, Manuel Ortega, today, I'll turn and I give the virtual floor to my colleague, Verónica Zavala, who will do a full introduction. Verónica, take it away.
Hola, buenas tardes. Gracias, Dr. Rubén. Thank you, Brian, for supporting this event. And gracias, PhD candidate Manuel, por estar aquí, for willing to share your research. So PhD candidate and teacher Manuel Ortega, he has been one of the teachers that has attended our LA events, and he's also, like Dr. Ruben mentioned, he's a scholar. He has worked in several areas of a technical pedagogical advisor. He's an elementary teacher. He has been an elementary teacher in Mexico and currently here in Los Angeles. Ortega has a master's degree in education and specializes in teaching Mexican history. He's finishing up his doctoral degree in education with an anticipated completion in January 2024. He's currently a dual language bilingual elementary teacher at the Multicultural Learning Center in Canoga Park. And today he's going to be presenting on his research that he did as part of his doctoral degree. So, gracias, Maestro Manuel, whenever you're ready. And I think you're muted, so. You're muted. Manuel, estás muted. No te escuchamos.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that you want to say something else, but I'm ready. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay, just please, can you tell me, let me know when you can see it? Oh, I'm so sorry, I can hear you better.
Yes, we can see your screen. And just to remind the audience that we have here, please feel free to write your questions in the Q&A box. And Manuel will be addressing questions at the end, comments. Please feel free to write them in Spanish as well or in English, whichever you feel comfortable.
Yes, thank you. So, well, welcome to everyone. So the second session today, I'm gonna talk about my research that I'm still working with for my PhD degree. So the title for this session is gonna be Using Anthony Brown's Literature in Bilingual Classrooms. So this is part of the Children Literature Series for Educators that UCLA through the Latin American Institute is working together in order to provide more opportunities to different teachers here in Los Angeles, but also out of the country. So as a first activity, well, I would like to do a quick brief about what we're gonna work in today. So I'm gonna start reading a story, a work from Anthony Brown, and also a assignment together that we're gonna have the opportunity to join a Jamboard, and we're gonna be sharing some of our ideas. Also, I'm gonna be sharing with you the purpose of the project that I'm still working with, and also the diseño metodológico. I'm gonna read this in Spanish also because, as you know, my dissertation, my PhD I'm working with is in Mexico. So mostly of the work it's gonna be presented in Spanish. So for me, it's very important to mention this section in the language, in the original language. So hopefully some of you can understand this part. I'm gonna share also the problem statement, also information about who is Anthony Brown and what is important following an author's literature. Also the importance of having a library in the classroom, and some of the context about the bilingual students where I had the opportunity to work with them, and in what consists the pedagogical strategy. So right now, as a first activity, I would like to read one of the Anthony Brown's books that I like the most. Why? The main reason is because it's a Spanish version that is called Ramón Preocupón, that I have it here with me, but I'm going to read it in English, that the version is Silly Billy. It's called the same as my brother. So every time that I have the opportunity to read it, it reminds me of him. And also the second reason is because when I had the opportunity to read it to my students the last previous school year, I had a student who was originally from Guatemala. So she had no a long time since she immigrated to here to the United States. So she felt a special connection with the book. So because it talks about one of the customs that the children has in this country. So next year, will you know what I'm talking about? So can you help me sharing the screen, Vera?
Yes, so I already shared the link of the book on the chat box. There's a PDF, just in case you want to follow.
So do you think that it's possible like just also sharing the PDF or I should do it?
I already shared the PDF link on the chat.
Oh, okay. So how I'm gonna be able to read it?
The PDF?
Yes.
It's on the box. On the box.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, gotcha. So let me make this here. Got it. So also everyone is being able to see my screen?
Yes, but not the PDF.
Oh, not the PDF. Okay, let me stop sharing and also let me do it again. Here we go. Yeah, right?
Okay, now we can see it.
Okay, so Silly Billy by Anthony Brown. Billy used to be a bit of worrier. He worried about many things. Billy worried about hats, and he worried about shoes. Billy worried about clouds and rain. Billy even worried about giant birds. His dad tried to help. Don't worry, lad, he said. None of those things could happen. It's just your imagination. His mom tried too. Don't worry, love, she said. We won't let anything hurt you. But still Billy worried. One night, he liked to stay with his grandma, but Billy couldn't sleep. He was too worried. He was always worried about staying at other people's houses. Billy thought a bit silly, but at last he got up and went to tell to his grandma. Well, fancy that, love, she said. You are not silly. When I was your age, I used to worry like that. I've got just the thing for you. She went into her room and came out holding something. These are worry dolls, she explained. Just tell each of them one of your worries and put them under your pillow. They will do all the worrying for while you sleep. Billy told all his worries to the worry dolls. He slept like a log. The next morning, he went home. That night, he again told all his worries to the dolls. He slept like a stone. The next night, Billy slept well. In the night after that. But the night after that Billy started to worry. He couldn't stop thinking about the dolls. All those worries he would give them. They must be so worried. It didn't seem fair. The next day, Billy had an idea. He spent all day working at the kitchen table. It was difficult work, and at first he made a lot of mistakes and had to start again many times. But finally, Billy produced something very special. Some worry dolls for the worry dolls. That night, everyone slept well. Billy and all the worry dolls. And after that, Billy didn't worry very much at all. So let me share again my screen. Okay, so this thing about making worry dolls is something that children in Guatemala, in this country, is like something very special for them because it has this purpose. Like when the children has like so many worries about certain things, they have the opportunity to produce these little dolls, even made with wood and also clothes and other stuff that they are able to produce. So they put all those worry dolls under their pillows, and they're gonna help to take away all those worries. So the next activity that I would like to share with you, this is a Jamboard. This assignment, I would like to work with some of you. Like you are able to open the link, and right now I'm gonna open it too, so you can see what we're gonna do right now. So I put right here some of the worry dolls that I found on the internet, and I also put some sticky notes. I would like that you share with me and also with the audience some of your thoughts about your worries that you have right now in your life. And probably use with one, and also for the time, one will be enough. And thank you for sharing. Also, Miss Zavala, because she had something, a personal problem, and she also started writing one of those. This one. But we would like to see what are your worries right now.
So in the chat box, I shared that.
Are some too?
I shared the link. So if you go to the chat box and
okay.
Everybody can go on the link and it will take you automatically to the board, and you just click on the sticky note. There's 3 dots in it, and you can just type in there your response.
Not this one. Or remove the dolls. Let me put it right here. Let's give 2 more minutes. Let me put it back. For dinner. I think mostly of them that I'm gonna start reading them. I'm through the process to like also my worries too. In the morning was my car too, but I fix it. Ah. Okay, let's complete the sticky notes that are already in the Jamboard. Well, I'm gonna start reading some of your worries. Because Vero shared with me this morning about her principal worry was my car. So I share the same feeling with her. Also, the upcoming deadlines, making through the school year, what to cook for dinner, homelessness, taxes, inflation, crime in LA, Gaza. Well, I will just say thank you for sharing, and hopefully you can put those worries away soon. I'm gonna change my presentation. I'm gonna keep working with my slides. Thank you again for sharing. Here we go. Okay, something that I would like to share too about this book from Anthony Brown, The Worried Dolls. As I told you, they come from the Central American country of Guatemala. They are made usually from tiny pieces of wood and scraps of cloth and thread. So a long time ago, the children of Guatemala made these dolls, and also they are still working with them when they went to bed at night. So they will tell a worry to each of the dolls, and before placing them under their pillow, and after that they usually go to sleep. So in this way they will wake up in the morning feeling much less worried. So to this day, children in Guatemala, they trust their dolls to take away their worries as they sleep. And this custom has not spread, not just in Guatemala. Right now, it's working around the world. So hopefully, one day you have free time, you can try it. So I would like to continue about talking a little bit about my project. So the project that I have been working these past 3 previous years has been working in a project for my thesis. So my proposal, it is with the purpose of working in the dual immersion program and using the classroom and school library in a LAUSD school, and put it at the center of their learning, the need for communication between students in English and Spanish speakers, and also respecting the use of the language seen as a cultural and social object. So this research has the following question: does didactic engineering influence the teaching of reading and writing in the training of readers and writers in the Spanish language in a bilingual 3rd grade classroom? So my proposal started because I saw some resistance with the teachers about bringing up other new opportunities in order to innovate. So we keep working with the tradition of keeping certain current educational ideas. So that was my original intention, that I can prove as an investigator that I can create a new opportunity of learning for my students, and they feel more interested in reading. So this proposal about following an order started since when I started getting my master's degree, because my thesis in the moment in my previous degree was about following a character that was the Cinderella. So I had the opportunity to work with my students, working with different versions of the storybook. So it brought me up a lot of good ideas in order so I can keep making a research in order to bring more learning to my students. So I saw this opportunity as a professional development in myself, but also as a social function. And the general and specific objectives for my thesis, as a general objective, is recognize the impact of the application of didactic engineering following an author, Anthony Brown, in a bilingual 3rd grade class. But also as a specific objective, I would say that characterize the practice that strengthen reading and writing through the project following an author, and also recognizing the conditions required by an interventional didactic research project as called didactic engineering. As a methodology design, I will say that the paradigm of my thesis is interpretatory, because what I do is like using the video recordings when I had the opportunity to read with my students the different books from Anthony Brown. So I was like trying to analyze the different interventions that the students made after reading, and also when I had the opportunity to read. So the research model, I took a methodology that have been used in math, the didactic engineering. So that was like the thing that I want to prove, that also this method can work in other areas, and this is specific about reading and writing. Some of the techniques and instruments that I had the opportunity to work with was the participant observation as a first one, the second one using video recordings, and also adding a reading itinerary produced by the same students. My study participants were the third grade bilingual classroom in a total of 14 students. In the analysis of the information, were three things that I started analyzing. The first one was the characteristics of the different books that Anthony Brown has been working with, also the style of this author, and the last one, the different moments where the students had the opportunity to share their opinion and also the interpretations, calling them as readers and writers. So as a problem statement, something that I noticed, I mean, I'm not part of LAUSD right now, but I'm working right now in a charter school that some of the policies are like kind of the same. Something that I noticed, because I have mostly, I will say like 90% of the students have been immersed in Latin communities. So something that I saw in the curriculum, not just LAUSD as a state offers to the students, they are not taking the condition of the different students who come from another countries. They just provide just one curriculum, but they don't see like other opportunities in learning that they have been providing from other countries. So for me, that was kind of very different for me, because even because my first years teaching were in Mexico, so I saw like a big difference between the curriculum in Mexico and here in the United States. So I saw that the reading and writing curriculum here in California, they don't take like in as opportunity what the students from other countries brought up. Something that I saw as a problem statement are the issues in learning in how to read and write since the students. Also, there are not a lot of research around the application of different methods in how to teach in learning, reading and writing, and also the different methods and methodologies that have been existed, I think are like very traditional. And in my last previous years, I haven't seen like any other opportunities in order to produce that interest in the students in reading and also in writing. So I saw the library as a big opportunity in order to how to teach and the practices of being a reader and also a writer. But also, like, because this was like a new research about this method, I'm gonna share with you also some of the results and mistakes using this method. And I think my main contribution to this research, talking about the positionality, is a pedagogical experience and also as a professional development in myself. This is gonna work like to reintroduce to educators to innovative methodologies for the classroom in order to generate new knowledge. In talking about the different kinds of knowledge, will be the disciplinary, the pedagogical, and also the academic. So before starting talking about who is Anthony Brown, also I would like to share with you like a general brief about what is my research. And so I took in the challenge of introducing the use of the different books in the classroom from Anthony Brown as a pedagogical resource that places the student in an active position, committed to their own learning. So working in a reading sequence with the different books that Anthony Brown offers, for me, means an immersing experience, and also for the students in different ways, as a narrative experience, but also as a reading experience. And with those different exchanges about the different interpretations that every student has after reading each of those books, I think they give a different voice to the different perspectives. So at the same time, I will say that I decided to focus on the work of Anthony Brown because it's intended for all the ages, and also tell stories that arise from his own childhood experience, and also including culture from other countries. As I told you, like Guatemala, reading the book about Silly Billy, that I have the version in Spanish that is called Ramón Preocupón, but also he shares another book that is called in English The Little Frida. In Spanish, I have also the version de La Pequeña Frida that is about Mexican culture. So the selection of the works proposed for the reading itinerary that the students work is based on the fact that they allow us to reveal the common characteristics that they define the books of this author. So, such as the relevance of the intertext, also the narrative voice, the context, and the place of the pictures, and the construction of the characters. So, but first of all, who is Anthony Browne? So, I would like to share with you that Anthony Browne, he born in Inglaterra. He has been producing different books. He has in total, I would like to share this picture, in total of 55 books. Mostly of those books have been translated to different languages, and mostly in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and also Italian. So some of these books have been translated in other languages. So for me, I saw Anthony Browne like a big opportunity in learning because he is focused his literature in children, but also he kind of play with the words and also with the pictures. So for me, he was very important to me to introduce my students with him, because also since I remember when I was a child, I remember some of those books, and it reminded me a good experience reading his artwork. So for me, I would like to try to explain you a little bit about what consists of following an oral literature. So following an oral literature, it is a task for expert readers that generates preferences based on a reading itinerary. So the students have the opportunity to select which books, because in a total of 55 books, I wrote them all in a table. So they select certain books. I think we're like 8. So we started working the proposal with those 8 books. So they decided the dates and also the moments that those books have been reading. So this experience, it involves reading many texts. In this case, we're a total of 8, comparing them, those texts between the style that the author is using, also the problems that the author introduced in the story, also how are the characters, their characteristics, and also the resources, the different resources, also as visual and in writing that he used to present and organize the story. So for me, it was an appropriate didactic proposal to encourage the students and the children with literature. But first of all, I think for me, it was very important to have in my classroom the library, because the students, us as a teacher, we should provide different opportunities where they are able to read. So because some of the books of Anthony Browne, he plays with the intertextual fact. This trying to explain this word, the intertextual, is when he used pictures and also part of other traditional books. I would like to show you something very quick. Like, for example, I have this version of Un Cuento de Oso, a bear book. So in the different picture that he has the opportunity to draw, he in the bottom of the picture, he used different picture of traditional books, like the show of the Hill of Cinderella, also the House of Hansel and Gretel, in different things. So he liked to play with certain things. For me, was very important to introduce the students to the library so they can recognize those specific objects when we started knowing about more Anthony Browne life. So why a library in the classroom? I think our social responsibility of the school and also as a teacher is to incorporate children into the practices of reading and writing. We cannot teach how to read if we don't provide the materials. And also we cannot teach in how to write if we don't practice this skill. So like all practices, reading and writing are required by practicing them. So how educators should work the library in the classroom? So the library should be a space conducive to developing various practices of interpretation in production of everyday practical or domestic writing. What I'm trying to say is not just to ask the students, oh, you have to read and here are the books, start reading them. No, we had to provide different opportunities of learning through the books. Like when I had the opportunity to introduce the library as at the beginning of the school year, the previous school year, we started working with different tasks that real libraries out of the schools has, like filling out book loan forms, and also requesting copies from the same library, creating a classification list of the materials that we have in the library, also bringing out like different folders where the students have opportunity to fill out those forms, and also creating reading agendas. That was something that I produced in my project. So those different tasks that I had the opportunity to work with my students, I think those are very important in order to teach to my students, to our students, in how to use the library. It's not just a space with books. It's a space where we provide different opportunities in order how to use those books. So each of these opportunities has particular context of use, like any language practice, and we assume that we should create different relationships between the books and the students. So talking a little bit about the student participants that I have the opportunity to work with them, and they were all bilingual students from Latin American descent, and they were a total of 14 students. The majority of my students were originally from Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. The class was immersed in a dual program, 50-50. That means that 50% of the instruction was in Spanish, and the other 50% of the instruction was in English. So this was a third grade class in an elementary school located at South Central in Los Angeles, California, as a part of LAUSD. So I choose two books that I would like to share. I'm not gonna read them, but for me, those two books were very special when I had the opportunity to work with them in my classroom. One of these was the Little Frida, La Pequeña Frida. This one because, well, first of all, it's talking about an artist, a Mexican artist. So mostly all of the students know who was Frida Kahlo, but especially the students who became from Mexico, they feel like very special connection, finding out that they found a book who talk about someone who is originally from where they are from. So young Frida Kahlo, this storybook, it's about an imaginary friend that comes to life in a touching story, enhanced by exquisite, surreal illustrations. And the second book that I had the opportunity to read, it was Silly Billy. In Spanish, we call it Ramón Preocupón. So these muñecos quitapesares, as I told you some time ago, children in Guatemala began to make those quitapesares dolls to tell each of their sorrows or worries before placing them under their pillows at bedtime. So they believe that when they wake up, they will be less worried because the dolls will have take away all their sorrows while they sleep. So the quitapesares, as we call it in Spanish, are made of small pieces of wood, scraps of clothes, and thread. So the children in Guatemala still believe in the power of the quitapesares. This tradition has spread through the world, especially to Central and South America. So some of the results that I would like to share that I had after working with my students in this proposal. Well, first of all, in specific, the different moments between the readers and writers, using these specific books from Anthony Brown, it gave the possibility of creating meaningful exchange and also experience where children can express their ideas regarding each of the stories read. So and confront these ideas with those of their classmates to reflect on the different perspectives that prevail. So they transform such ideas to create direct collaborative interpretations. Another result that I have been analyzing is that the children transform their perspective of what it means the word read. So since they acquire new practices that make them think beyond just recognizing what happened in each part of the story. So also the children had the opportunity to learn reader tasks, not just copying something without no sense, in addition to sharing that impression about each one of the stories with others, between classmates. They were able to notice that the details hidden among the illustrations in that intertextualization about when they found out different draws using traditional books. So based on the professional knowledge, the students started being more autonomous when they started like changing those interpretations each other. So in the same way, I would say that these tasks as our writers were present in the project because they had the opportunity to build the agenda. They decided which books to read in which specific dates. and also the different notes that they were able to produce in different posters that I had in the classroom. They were writing through myself, through the teacher, and they decided as a group what to write. Why? Because the information for everyone and that in a specific moment will be relevant in just in case that we have to consult different like comparison between those books. So the final product of as our writers, and they produce together the writing of a recommendation. So we share our recommendation with another third grade classroom, why third grade students should follow and also read Anthony Brown's books. So as I have already been seen, to create a true community of learners, Delia Lerner, a specialist in didactic, she mentioned that it's very important to treat them as such, as a readers and as a writers, even if they are young, because make them participate in different practices and also moments where their knowledge and previous experiences are put into the play, which help them to make better interpretations more meaningful. And some of the reflection, I don't like to mention as conclusions, because I think just working with authors literature shouldn't stop in a specific moment. I think just the task of reading, it never stops. I would say that the purpose of this work was, as I stated in the beginning, to the students be able to analyze those books, but me as a teacher, how the students construct meaning from the different books in a shared talk. So in what impact the teaching role has from those interventions. In this work, also, I started from the conception that the teacher is the one who follow the different strategies, and also the students are following them. So I think I was like a mediator in order to teach the students to construct these deeper meanings of the stories, but also the one who seeks to transform the classroom in the first reading society. So for me, it was very important to install a space in time of encounter with those texts. So I think the students became seekers of different meanings in those books, how together with the classmates, they create a community of readers, but also a community of interpreters. So in the different reading situations, I could demonstrate with the different moments that the students were able to take their first conception about the work. So they were being able to read from their own perspective. That is, they take into account the prior knowledge to spread their impressions, but also each of the story. So like when a student says that I don't know, like an example, and like an elephant is afraid about a mouse that is presented in a book, they distinguish which animals lives in the jungle, just an example. So that happened with the different stories, with the different moments of reading, but also when the different moments in writing persist, it was found that writing a recommendation that they were able to do through the teacher becomes a complex task, I will say, because the student didn't have previous contact with a similar test. So for me, brought up a little bit of complications through the process, because for them, it wasn't clear the notion of the language that they should use. So also, I would like to add that the different didactic conditions for this project were analyzed in different categories. This because the students were able to develop their skills in different ways. So the practices that they were able to learn with this project, nowhere just reading and writing, but also making those connections through the books, but also with their personal lives. So for me, I think as a teacher, I will say that we should provide to the student different opportunities in reading and writing, and also to provide more opportunities in how to analyze the world out of the classroom. So I would like to end my presentation with a small video. We are not going to watch the whole video, but I think it's also important how Anthony Brown brought out the importance of having this illustration and making the connection with the text in his different children's book. So I'm going to share with you the first 2 minutes of the video. Just let me know if you can hear.
Manuel no se escucha, creo que tienes tu micrófono apagado.
I'm Anthony Brown.
Oh, let me know if it's already now working.
Sí,
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Everybody, I'm Anthony Brown, and I write and illustrate picture books. What do you think of illustrations in books? Yeah?
Because otherwise they would be rather dull.
I totally agree. I think they'll be very dull without pictures. Any other reasons?
Maybe someone can't read, and if they can just look at the pictures to understand what the story is about.
They're very helpful in helping us to learn to read, exactly. It makes reading more enjoyable. And I think that's very important.
Changes. On Thursday morning at 10:15, Joseph Kay noticed something strange about the kettle. Everything else in the kitchen was in its familiar place, clean and tidy. It even smelled the same as usual.
The relationship between the text and the words is key, I think, with a picture book. You don't want the text to be describing what the pictures are already showing us. And in a way, you don't want the pictures to be showing what the text is telling us. It's an interesting balance. There's a gap between the pictures and the words, a gap which at its best is filled by the imagination of the reader. Okay, is anybody...
Okay, so I think Anthony Brown is right about playing with those pictures, because sometimes the text, it doesn't like show all what we want to say. So for that reason, he illustrates his books and using this kind of game like between the text and also the pictures. I had I would say like a weird experience when I started teaching this school year, because I went to a library with my students. In the librarian say to my students, "Oh, please don't take picture books because are used for kindergarten." And I told him, I think we should then say to the students that specific books are for certain ages. So I think we should provide the different opportunities, because me just being 28 years old, I just still like the picture books. So I think providing these different opportunities of reading is gonna be always a good experience for the children. So I'm done. I finished the presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias, Manuel. Thank you for sharing your research, for your experience. And we're going to open it up for questions now. If the Q&A box is open for comments, questions. But in the meantime, while people start writing, maybe I found it really interesting how as part of your method, maybe you can expand a little bit more on this, and as your method that you chose didactic engineering, which I found very interesting because it's not really common with the type of work that you do. So I don't know if this was something that shows the influence of doing this project within a Mexican context.
Yes.
How did it, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your choice or how that came to be.
So this method has been known as Ingeniería Didáctica, engineering didactic. This has been just work in the math area. It has certain steps to follow when you are providing to the students different opportunities of learning. So this thing, it hasn't been applied in a literature context. So I think that was like a big risk, because I didn't know if it's gonna be working. But I mean, after this research, I think this is something that I'm providing to, not just for myself and also for the university. I'm providing to all the teachers who had the opportunity to read this document, that working this specific method that has been working just in math can be provided in another areas as a teaching just how to write and read.
Yes. Well, thank you. And maybe just a kind of follow up
I
on
don't know
this.
if I was clear about it.
Yes, definitely. So, in terms about like if for us, because most of our audience that we have here are teachers, so if they're hearing this for the first time, this methodology, like what would you, they don't know where to start, what would be like a starting point?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say that just start providing different moments. It doesn't have like to follow in an order in specific, but just start using your library every day, because if you skip those moments with the students, they are not gonna be like you're using the books. It's a task important for them. So also, I think that it's very important to the students that they observe you reading, because the students learn from others. So if they see the teacher is reading, they are gonna copy those tasks. So I always provide to my students, because in the school that I'm working right now, we call in Spanish taller de lectura. We have our reading workshop every day. In those days are 4 days a week. So we provide to the students different texts. And also can be about traditional texts, like, I don't know, like Cinderella, Los Tres Cochinitos, and those different books, but provide those moments with the students where you are able to read them, but also to make those interpretations, not just, oh, who killed the little grandma or things like that. No, just try to ask to your students like different perspectives that they are able to analyze the text more deeper. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Aquí we have here a comment from Darian Perez. Thank you for sharing, Manuel. I love the book. I can't wait to read to my class and make worry dolls. I have a lot of students who worry this year, so I can't wait to see how dolls help.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity this year yet to do this activity, but they are so excited when they feel the connection between making I mean, just putting away those worries that they have and putting those in creating those worry dolls and putting them under their pillows.
So you actually did that activity in your classroom?
And you have the opportunity to read the text, even if you are like teaching in a dual language class. You have the opportunity to read Ramón Procopón in Spanish, or also for your English native speakers, the Silly Billy version.
So kind of like a follow-up. So when you did that activity in your class, the students actually did the dolls?
Yeah, I did it last year. And we read first the book, the Ramón Procopón, the version in Spanish, and after that we read the text, we produce the worry dolls.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about, because you did this project in a different context of the school that you're currently in. You mentioned there was a 50-50 dual language. So how did that influence like your approach in working with this book? So did you do them in English and Spanish? How do you went about dividing?
So yes, I think that's a very important question, because when I had the opportunity to read a specific book in Spanish with all the whole class, I have one student that she just know English language. So what I did with her, I provide her the version of the book. I think was the book called The Forest, El Bosque. So what I did, I read with the whole class the El Bosque in the Spanish version, but I also provide her the version in English. So for that reason, I think it's very important, like this great opportunity to working with Anthony Brown, that we had the opportunity to find out those books in different languages. So no one is gonna be put in as a side. Everyone can have the opportunity to learn, but also to provide their own ideas. Because when I asked the questions, also if the student wants to participate, I was able to translate the same question in the answer that she was providing. All the whole class was able to understand what was her interpretation. So working with Anthony Brown, I think it's a great experience, but also not just for the teacher, also for the students, because those different moments, they brought up like different perspectives, even if the students are not thinking about those specific moments.
And also I'm thinking that translations, because maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how did the students react there to that, especially for those bilingual students, because for example, Silly Billy, it has a different sense in Spanish. Ramón Procopón.
I know it does. I mean, it's a different name. Like Billy is in English name, and Ramón is like a very Spanish name. So I think what the editorial tried to do is like just finding out like a name like sounds like a strong, but also being popular between the the native Spanish community. So I think Ramon, mostly of all my whole class, called here before the name. So I think for them, just being as a native Spanish speakers, they totally understand like the objective about the story, just like providing the opportunity after the reading, so they were able to create those dolls. But making the connection between those two languages, I would say that Anthony, I'm pretty sure that he saw that because he has been traveling around the world, presenting his book and also sharing this kind of talk with in another schools. He doesn't do that anymore, but I have seen some of his videos making those presentations where he explains that connection that he feels in not just in the English community in Europe, also out of his country, of his native country.
And what about your classroom? How did I'm interested in hearing a little bit about how did the students reacted or commented? Was that part of the research or discussion, looking at the different translations?
Well, in a specific, this student that I mentioned before, she just moved. In the moment she just spent like in the country. She's moved like 3 months before I started reading this strategy with them. She just moved from Guatemala. So when I had the opportunity to present this book and also to read the whole story, she felt the connection. She just felt in the video like so excited about also showing to the rest of his classmates that didn't know anything about the story that in Guatemala it's very popular doing this kind of stuff. So even if it's not true, even if it's true, for the children, it's very important to have those connections. But also, I think it's more important that the rest of the class has knowledge about her own culture.
Oh, it sounds like many students are able to connect through this.
And also providing students, they always like to share not just about their story and also their culture, also where they come from and also what happens in their countries.
Mm-hmm. And I know that for your project you focus on Anthony Browns, but would you say that this is like in integrating? Did you integrate other authors, or would you just focus? Did you only use this author?
So I had the opportunity to see Gina's presentation the last month. So I saw that she mentioned this author Hinojosa. He has also different books that could be, I think, in the highest level of reading. So I think the first thing that you have to do is to start working with your library and also introduce the students with the books every day. So the students are able to create those moments, not just in a specific author, but when you see that the students are like expert readers, you can provide this kind of opportunities in order so the students can make those connections, not just with the books, also with their classmates, with the community in general, but also with the text. And so that was, for me, was very important because all the comments that they were mentioned, they were like, they produced a lot of knowledge about the method that I was implementing in my thesis. So what I will say is like, just give the opportunity, the big opportunity to read to your student. It doesn't matter the author. We have so many authors, even in Latin America. We have Isol in Argentina. We have in Mexico, Hinojosa. We have Anthony Brown in England. We also have Gabriela Mistral in Chile. So those authors have different books, and just choose one and start implementing those different books to your library, and the students are going to bring out that, oh, this book is from Gabriela Mistral, and this book too. So let's compare the text, or what say one and what's bringing up the other one. So probably you're gonna say, oh no, the students are not gonna be able to do that. No, they are able, and trust me, their answer and also the interpretation that they create about the books are very impressive. And as you know, you cannot just implement following an author. You can even create a project, I don't know, following a character, because all this project has been created since the first project was made a few years ago, following a character, the witch. So the original creator of the project, she collected the Cinderella books because there is a witch in the story. Also in Snow White, there is a witch in the story. Hansel and Gretel, there is a witch in the story. So she collect all those books that has a character in common. So she created an experience of reading with the students, and they were making comparisons about the characteristics of the character. So that was a great idea that probably I would like to work in the future. But at this moment, that was something that made me feel like really happy about what happened, about those experiences.